Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode about the movies with William Fletcher. As per usual, I'm your host, William Fletcher. Now, you're probably wondering why this episode is coming out today on the Monday instead of Friday when it should have. Well, I didn't have the time to release this episode then. I didn't have the time to record it. In fact, and I've sort of been busy over this weekend, so I'm recording it now, and it will be coming out on Monday evening. I've just been busy with things, so hopefully this goes well. I'm sorry for the delay, just, stuff happens, but you are getting an episode this week, and then next week will be like a proper episode of the show. Also, I've got a new mic set up, a new mic sort of thing going on right now, so it might sound a bit off. Maybe it might sound a bit different. I did. That's what I was using for my Oscars reaction episode, which I uploaded last week. So hopefully it's not too bad, and I've used it that much, so I'll really have to sort of have a look, see how it is. But this week's episode will be me discussing the films that I have watched in the past month of March. So some of these films I will discuss more in depth than others. Some I've covered in episodes already. So let's just sort of get to it. So the first film I watched this month was Louis Theroux Behind Bars. I've been watching a few more of Louis Theroux's documentaries that he's been doing over the past few years. They're really, really excellent. He's a very good documentary filmmaker. He's a very good presenter. He's very good. He knows what he's talking about. He's very they're very good. They're very interesting and very entertaining, and they definitely open my eye. They sort of give me a perspective of certain issues. And so this one, for those who haven't seen it, this Behind Bars is basically Louis Theroux going into a jail, and he's basically talking with various people who are in jail about sort of their life in prison. And so he meets sort of different people. He meets, like sort of the hard lads who are gonna, you're not careful, they'll like kill you. But and then other times, he's sort of talking to people who are just sort of in there for sort of lesser than crimes. And it's very good. If you haven't seen any Louis Theroux documentary, I highly recommend you check them out. They're all like an hour long. They're all very good. He's a very good presenter, and they're definitely well worth checking out. Then I watched Licorice Pizza and Drive My Car, and I'm putting these two together because I did an Oscars episode where I went into depth on both of these films, so you can go listen to that for more full in-depth thoughts. Licorice Pizza was perfectly fine. It wasn't the most amazing film ever. The whole racism thing was a bit strange, but it's a perfectly decent screenplay. And Drive My Car was my least favorite of this year's Best Picture nominees. I did not care for it. It just didn't work for me. It just was long and boring and crap. And listen to my Oscars episode because I go further into depth of why I don't think it's particularly a great film. Then I watched Election, and this film just sort of cemented in my mind that 1999 is a completely and utterly fantastic year for films. In my opinion, the best year for films, as we'll see from one of the last films I watched this month, which also came out in '99. Election is just so excellent. It's for those who haven't seen it, Reese Witherspoon is a student. She's at school. She basically wants to become on the student council, and then the sort of one of the teachers, played by Matthew Broderick, doesn't want that. So it's sort of like he sort of puts people in there to try and beat her, and it's sort of them clashing together about their sort of difference of opinions, and them going against each other. It's a very enjoyable light watch. It's not like, it's like only like an hour 30, hour 40, so it's a very quick film to get through, and it's a lot of fun. Reese Witherspoon is a really great actress. I think she's really great in things, and then in what I have seen her in, Matthew Broderick, he's decent. He's not amazing, but he's not bad either. It's just a really enjoyable film that I recommend you all go check. Some of all the films here, it's probably one of the least well-known films you guys have. It's probably the least well-known. So if you haven't seen it, I do highly recommend you go check it out because you probably haven't heard of it before. Then I watched The Batman. And yeah, it's a good movie, isn't it? I don't really know what to say about it because I feel like everything that I can and want to say has been said already. Like, Robert Pattinson was excellent as Batman, one of my favorite portrayals of the character, potentially my favorite live action portrayal. potentially. I thought, all the supporting cast was very solid, except for I didn't think Paul Dano was particularly great. I thought he was actually pretty crap. And that's sort of what really holds the film down in quality to me, is I think Paul Dano didn't do a very good job, and also they still a big setup for a character in a future film, and I think at this point you probably already know who it is. There's that deleted scene of it, which you probably have at least heard of. So I'm not gonna say just in case you've avoided it, but there's a character who's set up for future films, because there's going to be a trilogy, and I'm not really into what they're doing with that character personally. I think that character's been done. There's a lot better things they could do with that character. But you know what? I am optimistic. I'm always optimistic with DC. I think DC could do really, really great stuff. Honestly, I think that they truly like, the thing about DC is, right, they could do some really, really great stuff, and DC has done really, really great stuff. The Nolan Batman trilogy is mostly good. Dark Knight Rises is a bit crap. I don't really care for the ending. It's the ending sucks. Okay, like the Dark Knight Rises ending is not a good ending. And there's a very good chance I will cover the Dark Knight trilogy, maybe even Nolan's entire career, on this podcast, because he has directed my favorite film of all time. But that is for a future discussion. But the Batman, very good, very nice cinematography. I loved how everything looked. The score, one of the best Batman scores, probably the best Batman score since Danny Elfman's '89 Batman. It's absolutely fantastic. It's great. Michael Giacchino, probably one of the best, if not the best, composers working in the industry right now. It's absolutely amazing. I love it to bits, and this film was absolutely excellent. Everything I wanted from a Robert Pattinson Batman film. Then I watched Evil Dead, the 2013 remake. I don't know. Yeah, it's decent. Like, it's not a bad film by any means. In fact, I'd go as far to say it is a decent film. But it's nothing amazing. I think Fede Alvarez, it's got very good direction. Don't Breathe is a really great film, and I think this is better than it had any right to, but I don't really think it's all that amazing. Like, it's a decent film, but it's easily my least favorite of the Evil Dead films, and and also Ash vs Evil Dead, which I've been watching recently, is excellent, and far better. I'd probably, if I was to rank Evil Deads at this current time, I'd probably go Evil Dead 2 is the best, then Ash vs Evil Dead, then Army of Darkness, then The Evil Dead, and then Evil Dead 2013. But I'm really looking forward to Evil Dead Rise, that is coming out at some point this year, and I'm also looking forward to the Evil Dead Evil Dead 2, to the sequel to this Evil Dead 2013 film. It's really good. The ending is really, really nice, actually. I really like how it's early on, it sets up something, and then it pays off at the very end, because that's nice, and you set something, it's the classic setup and payoff, and they do it very nicely. I felt it's very, very nice. Then I watched Spencer, which I did not get to watch in time for the Oscars episode. I had watched it. I think I might have discussed it a bit. Like, I think I sort of briefly gave my opinions. I thought in the Oscars reaction episode, Kristen Stewart was very, very good in it. I would have been happy if she won. Jessica Chastain would have been was my personal choice, and I'm glad she won. But Kristen Stewart would have also been an excellent choice. The score was really nice, great production design and costume design. It should have gotten more than just an actress nomination, honestly. It was better than a fair few of the other nominees in other categories, if I'm being completely honest. Then I watched Rope, another Alfred Hitchcock. Alfred Hitchcock, to me, he's only, of what I've seen, I haven't seen a lot, but of all I've seen, he's only made one real masterpiece, and that's Rear Window. Everything else is like good, like Psycho, Strangers on a Train, and Rope. All very, very good movies that I really quite like, even love in some respects. But Rear Window is the only film of his that I would go as far to say is a masterpiece of a film. Rear Window is excellent, as you can hear in my Rear Window episode, one of the earliest episodes I did on this show. But Rope was very, very good. I just loved how everything in it just works so well. Henry Fonda, isn't it? Was it no, James Stewart? James Stewart, isn't it? James Stewart is excellent. Gives a great performance. The two guys who've done the Killing are excellent. They both work. They play off really well to each other. And I just love the whole one take thing because it just it works so well. And the film is truly excellent. It's a film that everyone should see. It's only like 120, not 120. It's like an hour 20 minutes. So it's like what 80 minutes maybe. Like it's a genuinely great film that people should be watching because it is just outstanding filmmaking on show by a master of his craft, and it's well worth a watch. And I watched the original Invisible Man from 1933. I think I prefer the 2020 remake, honestly. The 2020 remake was fantastic. It was insane. But this one was good. It did feel a bit hammy, but I feel like, it's Universal horror. It's gonna be like that, so I kind of have to give it some leeway. It's a good it's a good film. I quite liked it. I thought the effects were very nice. Some of it did come off as a bit comical to me. Sorry, but besides that, it's a very, very well made film that has a lot of really great stuff in it, and it's definitely well worth checking out, especially if you're into old school, Universal horror. It's great, but I do recommend, if you haven't seen either of them, I do recommend you check out the 2020. It's not a remake, the 2020 version, because I think that film just works so much more. I think that film I just think it worked. I mean, the main character in that is Ben Elizabeth Moss is excellent. And just the way it works it was so much more creepy and sort of off-putting in a way that this sort of newer one wasn't, which isn't a bad thing per se. Maybe it's because it's from the 30s, and so I'm less likely to sort of be sort of off-put by something. But I genuinely recommend, if you haven't seen the 2020 version, you should. It's a great, just outstanding film that just sort of works on so many levels. Then I watched Safety Last, which is it's probably most well known for the scene of the Harold Lloyd holding on the side of the clock, climbing up the clock, and the clock is falling. Like one of the most iconic shots in the history of cinema. And it's a really, really good film, and I really, really like it. And it really, really works. It's really great. It's one of the oldest films I've seen. It's a fantastic comedy. It has so many great comedic elements. It's got I before going in, I was like, how is he gonna climb the roof? I was just thinking that's gonna be super contrived, isn't it? Him having, but it's not really that contrived actually. It's pretty. They get to that point pretty well, and it's just amazing. And him climbing that building is iconic cinema, and him holding that clock as it's falling is iconic, and it's great. It's a really, really great film that I do recommend you guys all check out. It's it's like an hour 13 minutes or so. It's a free on YouTube. It's amazing. You should all go watch it. It's absolutely great. It's just brilliant. It's just really great classic 1920s filmmaking. Then I watched The Iron Giant for the very first time. I've never seen The Iron Giant in my life. It wasn't a film I grew up with in a way that I know a lot of people have. People I was friends with, and they, talked about how great it was all the time, and it was, and it is a really great film. It's The Iron Giant. I don't know what to say about it. I don't like the ending. Not the main bit, the bit everybody knows. It's the sort of aftermath after that big moment at the end that doesn't work for me, because it basically undoes the big moment. I mean, if you, I'm trying to be as vague as I possibly can, but the ending is pretty much great. The big moment at the end is great, but then there's a final sort of little coda at the end that kind of ruins. But yeah, I'm Giant. excellent film. Fantastic. 1999 is the greatest year of cinema ever. I don't think anyone can deny that fact, if I'm being completely honest here. And then finally, I wrapped up the month with Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the new Sonic film that just came out in cinemas. I went out with a friend, and we saw it, and I kind of loved it. Like, there's so many... It's just so... Like... There's so many bits of comedy in it that shouldn't work, and are dumb, and are just weak. And, like, conceptually they are stupid, but they are, like, genuinely, me and my friend who I want to see this with, we were laughing out loud at so many points. It was great. If you've seen the film, there's a great knitting gag in it at one point, which is great. There's someone who was an absolute highlight. You know, Jim Carrey was great in it, as he always is. It's a shame he's retired now. That's a shame. But you know, Jim Carrey was a delight in it, as always. Everything sort of worked on many levels, and you know, Idris Elba was really great as Knuckles. Ben Schwartz as Sonic was, you know, as good as he was in the original. I don't know the person who voiced Tails, but I thought Tails was really cool. I've been playing through the Sonic games recently, so I'm more familiar with them than I was when I watched the first one. But I can't wait for Sonic 3. If I'm just being honest, it's just really good. This film is quite enjoyable, and that was the final film I watched this month. So thank you all for listening to this week's episode. Check out my Letterboxd for other things on there that I've logged that aren't films, because, you know, I just talk about films on these things. But check out the other things I've logged this past month. Get in contact, email, follow me on Letterboxd, rate the show on iTunes, listen to all the previous episodes, whether you're on Apple or you're on Spotify or on this, that, whatever. Go listen to these and listen to my previous episodes, and look forward to next week's episode, where I will be covering a film. I'm not entirely sure yet. I'll need to line something up, but hopefully you guys enjoy, and I will see all of you guys in the next one. Goodbye.